Hey there! Does your cutting mat look like an elementary school art department threw up all over it?
What even is that?
Me too. In this video, I want to show you how you can at least mostly restore your cutting mat to its original glory, if not totally, depending on how far gone yours might be. I know mine ain't gonna make it.
What's a cutting mat?
It's what you're sitting on, Bob.
My man, I'm sitting on my easel. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, sorry. It's what your easel is resting on.
Man, what are you talking about? My easel is on the floor.
First things first, we're gonna need some scraping tools. Now kids, don't use any of these without supervision or permission from your parents. Very, very sharp, okay?
As you use your scraper, you're going to want to feel around to make sure you're not missing those high spots and you're not creating low spots or overdoing it. For your own safety, please do not scrape towards yourself, but away from yourself. Not towards your hand and fingers, but away. The last thing you want to do is cut yourself while cleaning.
In some spots, the scraper may not get everything you want off, and in that case, break out the sandpaper. You don't want to grind into your cutting mat, but you can skim the surface to get those glue spots. And these light scrapes that you're getting in here, don't worry about those. A lot of those will even out as we go. These are self-healing cutting mats. I'm using a rough 80 grit right now, and I'm going to switch to a 120 grit. Don't want to do too much of the 80 grit though. Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. We're just doing this enough to break up all of the texture on the surface that shouldn't be there. We're not doing it to scrape it down. Right here, I have some dried cyanoacrylate glue or CA glue, and this will come off with the next step, but I'm gonna go ahead and sand it up a little bit just to break up the surface, so the next step that I do might go just a little bit quicker after sanding. Now that we've sanded everything with two sandpapers, one at 80 grit to break up some of the harder to get stuff if you use glues like I do, and one at 120 grit to smooth it back out and break up the surface on a smaller level. Now we can get out the chemicals. Denatured alcohol. Notice how this says clean burning fuel. Do not use this in a hot environment, in direct sunlight, or near an open flame or an ignition source. Please work smarter, not stupider. They sell this in the paint section at Home Depot and Lowe's. It's usually about $6 to $10. Before we get to the denatured alcohol, we should wipe down our surface from the debris that we just sanded off. Now's the time to get your gloves. You don't want the denatured alcohol soaking into your skin or finding out that you're allergic to it the wrong way. Now for the real magic, we're gonna go ahead and pop open this can of denatured alcohol. You just do that with a flathead, just like that. I'm using a microfiber cloth because I have them available, but it's not going to hurt anybody or anything if you just have a paper towel. You can do this two ways. You can get some on the rag. I would recommend soaking it for a minute with it turned over like that, just to get it wet. And then the real magic happens. You can start to remove the paint. Simply by pressure, the denatured alcohol evaporates very, very quickly. So you typically, look at all that paint. You typically have to reload it every few moments that you do this. Look at that, taking that paint right off. It's a miracle. If you really want to get crazy, you can even pour some out directly onto your mat, and it evaporates fairly quickly. So you can start to scrub But if you're doing this, I recommend wearing a mask so that you don't knock yourself out. It's strong. And just like that, we have our cutting mat restored. Now mine, it's pretty beat up, and there's a few spots where I've had some drops of dyes and different things while I was experimenting, let's just say, with different techniques and ideas. This is where a lot of that occurred. I'm not really going to be able to get that off since it's embedded inside the material and not sitting on top of it. But as you can see, as far as the rest of it goes, I've evened out the color a lot more, and I've freed up a lot of my lines again so I can see a little bit more clearly when I go to cut things. Look at this beautiful cutting mat.
Wait a minute, I thought you didn't know what a cutting mat was.
What are you talking about? Everybody knows what a cutting mat is.
Oh, Bob Ross.
Hey!